Hey everybody, and welcome to Bible class. Can you join me in Proverbs chapter 1 as we take another step in our walk through this great book of wisdom in the middle of our Bibles, the book of Proverbs. I want you to think with me as we dig in together today. There are two really basic ways that you and I learn about life and how life works. One of them is by listening to others, getting instruction from others. The second way that you and I learn a lot about life is just by doing stuff, trial and error. Let me see how this goes. I'm not really going to listen to anybody else. I'm not going to seek out any advice. I'm just going to live in whatever way I want to live and see what happens. We could call that second one personal experience. The problem is sometimes those experiences are good and sometimes they're really bad. What if we could lean on proven experience, the experiences of others? What if we didn't have to make every mistake that could possibly be made in order to learn? What if we didn't have to go down every wrong, hurtful, destructive pathway in order to figure out I shouldn't go down that way before? This is the stuff of the book of Proverbs. There are two different ways we learn: trial and error, or by listening to others. And so that's what I want to think with you about over the next few minutes. What if we opened our ears and guarded our hearts? What sort of impact might that have? Can you start reading with me in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 8, where there is an invitation to learn, to lean on proven experience. Hear, my son, your father's instruction, and forsake not your mother's teaching. What if we listened to the instruction and teaching of others? They might be a graceful garland for our head and pendants for our neck. There are things that you and I can learn by listening to others. But I want you to see from the very beginning of the book, it's not just good instruction, wise advice that is all around us. We're also warned in verse 10, if sinners entice you, do not consent. We spent a little bit of time in lesson 1 talking about how God has given us intelligence in order that we might acquire knowledge and walk in wisdom. Solomon often describes life as a walk. And I want you to listen down in verse 20 that as we are on this walk through life, wisdom is crying out. Listen to what wisdom says. Proverbs 1 verse 20. At the head of the noisy streets, wisdom is crying out. She's raising her voice. At the entrance of the city gates, she speaks. In verse 29, wisdom says not everybody is willing to listen the way that they should, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. We might go back as a class and look at some of these verses between verse 21 and verse 29. But for now, do you remember from last week, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. In verse 33, if we will listen to wisdom, what impact can that have on our lives? Well, we will dwell secure. We'll be at ease without dread of disaster. It's not necessarily that disaster won't come, but we don't have to dread it. We're on a firm foundation because we're not just listening to ourselves, we're gaining and listening to and building our lives on the instruction from others. You might have to turn a page. Look over at Proverbs chapter 3, verses 3 and 4. As we think about this idea of opening up our ears and guarding our hearts, let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on, what an interesting phrase here, the tablet of your heart. We'll talk a little bit more about that as a class. If we do this, you will find favor and good success in the sight of God and man. Let's keep reading in verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. Remember, personal experience versus proven experience. In all your ways, acknowledge the Lord, and he will make straight your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord. It's the beginning of knowledge. And turn away from evil. It will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones. For now, let's end in Proverbs chapter 4. Start reading with me in verse 20. My son, be attentive to my words. Incline your ears to my sayings. What are we being encouraged to do? Gain instruction from others. Listen to this proven experience. Let my words, my sayings, not escape from your sight. Keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them and healing to all their flesh. Keep your heart. Your English translation might say, guard your heart with all vigilance, for from your heart flow the springs of life. Why does our heart matter so much? And what does God mean when he's talking about our hearts? We'll talk about that as a class. For now, let's end right here. Put away from you crooked speech, put devious talk far from you. Let your eyes look directly forward. Let your gaze be straight before you. Remember, Solomon often describes life as a walk. So here, ponder the path of your feet, then all your ways will be sure. Don't swerve to the right or to the left. Turn your foot away from evil. Uncommon sense. We're looking for wisdom in the book of Proverbs, so let's dig in together. Thanks so much for being in here. Hope I've set you up for a good discussion, that you have a great rest of your class and a great start to this new week.